This is my home. This is my kitchen. This is my family. Tilly. Jack. Holly. Megan. And of course, my wife Tana.
You may think you're the busiest person in the world, but over this series, I'm going to prove it's still possible to cook stunning food at home. My rules are simple. Home cooking has to be easy. It's got to be fast. It's got to be delicious. So, if you think you can't cook amazing food at home, think again. These are the only recipes you'll ever need.
Breakfast, lunch and dinner.
I love a great party, but I hate bad food, and often the two things go together. I think one of the reasons is that home cooks get intimidated by the thought of cooking for large crowds, so they give up and serve shop-bought food instead. But trust me, with a bit of planning and great recipes, it's easy. This is my ultimate party food.
First up, a great brunch for a crowd. Spicy Mexican eggs. For a sophisticated party lunch, you can pre-prepare beetroot cured salmon and a chocolate mint cake.
Little sheets of glass, beautiful.
My eldest daughter Megan will be helping me rustle up some amazing dishes for a relaxed Ramsay get-together.
Butts away.
With irresistible smoky pulled pork.
Don't tell Mum. Thank you.
Honestly.
And simple but delicious sides of broccoli slaw and crushed potatoes with spring onions and Gruyere cheese.
I've never had this before. It's so good.
These are my ultimate party recipes that will entertain and sustain a house full of guests for breakfast, lunch and dinner. Starting with the breakfast that can't fail to get your guests fired up and ready to party. Spicy Mexican eggs.
This is a very classic Mexican-style brunch dish. Bold, kick-ass flavours. Slice of chili, seeds in. Garlic sliced, nice and thinly. Tablespoon of olive oil. I'm a big fan of brunches, and if you get it right, a great brunch can see you right through to dinner. Now, to start, the sort of spicy, fragrant tomato sauce. Get your cumin in there. Garlic, chili, roasted cumin, red onions. Already sounds Mexican. Once that starts getting really nice and crispy, in with your tomatoes. Never been embarrassed using good canned tomatoes. I do it all the time, cooking at home. Now, by reducing that, you sort of come down to a delicious paste. Leave that to simmer.
Next, canned beans called black beans. These are authentically Mexican, but cannellini beans or chickpeas will work just fine.
Just rinse them, a little bit of water. That is beautiful. Turn off the gas and just let it absorb.
Leaving the dense beans to luxuriate in the spicy tomato sauce will allow them to soften and soak up all the flavour. Next, oil and season an oven-proof dish for my spicy egg brunch to bake in.
Now just get some of that oil round the outside. Take your corn tortillas, slice them in half, and then just stick them to the side. These are a staple in Mexico. Take one and place that in the centre. Get your mix and place that on top of the tortilla. Spread that out nice and smoothly. Lift up those little flaps. I want that crisp shell on the outside. Now, your eggs and cheese. Get the base of the egg and just make a little hole in there and then crack the egg into there. Again, use a little point. Put your egg in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1 in the middle. Gently crack and get the egg to sit inside, almost like it's a little dugout. And then 1 for the centre. Get a really nice, rich, delicious, strong Montgomery cheddar. I want to grate the tortilla shell as well, so get generous with it on the top. I'm going to season that with these little babies. Little chili flakes. They're my little secret weapon, and they're going to spice up that egg. A touch of salt, a touch of pepper. Sit that in the oven to bake for 8 to 10 minutes at 180. That smells incredible. Just a little bit of coriander to finish it off. And that, for me, is what brunch is all about. Let's go.
A fantastic fiery brunch to get your party started. Spicy Mexican eggs in a crispy tortilla shell.
Coming up, my ultimate food for a lunch or evening party. But first, here's a closer look at the key ingredients you'll need and a few pointers on what to look for when you're buying them.
Chocolate, the ultimate comfort food. Addictive and indulgent, the chocolate making process begins by grinding roasted cocoa beans. Quality chocolate should contain at least 70% cocoa solids. It should give a distinctive crisp snap when broken and start melting in your hand after just a few seconds. And there'll be no skimping on the quality for my party lunch, chocolate mint cake. Pork shoulder is an easy-to-cook, flavoursome joint and can be bought on the bone or rolled. Its relatively cheap price makes it a great choice when you're feeding a crowd. Marbled with fat to keep it moist during cooking, it's also the cut of choice for barbecue pulled pork, known affectionately in the US as Boston butt. I'll be cooking my delicious version of this meltingly good export as the star guest of my dinner party. Sodium chloride, or salt, is a mineral essential to human life. It's also one of the most widely used seasonings in the world. Its lack of aroma belies its strong taste, which both enhances the natural flavour of food and stimulates our taste buds. This seasoning of all seasonings is processed in various ways and comes in all different colours and forms. But for me, the finest in flavour is crystallised sea salt, the product of evaporated seawater. And it's what I'll be using to cure my salmon, the main course for my super simple but spectacular party lunch.
I think the best dishes for lunch parties are the things that everyone can help themselves to. I also prefer dishes that pack a really big flavour punch and look impressive. Party food shouldn't be subtle. Here are a couple of dishes for my ultimate lunch party. The secret behind curing salmon is in the flavouring you're curing it with.
For a hint of the exotic and aromatic, my favourite starting point is to grind coriander seeds.
Coriander seeds are citrusy. It's got that nice orangey flavour, and it goes brilliantly well with salmon. Mix that with your salt and your sugar.
It may look like a lot of salt and sugar, but once they've done their job of cold cooking or curing the salmon, most of it will be washed away. Next, the grated zest of 2 oranges.
Some fresh pepper. And then mix in one of my favourite ingredients, grated beetroot. Beetroot gives us a really nice sort of rooty, earthy flavour. Great for curing. It stains the salmon as well, and it just elevates it. Now, you'll see what's happening now with the beetroot. The salt and sugar breaking it down. See how wet it's becoming. Now, that beetroot is ready for the salmon. If you've got a big party, 10 or 20, get a whole side of salmon, fillet it, and get it pin-boned by a fishmonger. If it's 6 or 10 guests, then this chunk in the middle is like the sort of middle part of a fillet steak, the best of the best. Pour on your beetroot, and basically what we're going to do now is sort of pack it with all the beetroot. And look at that. I mean, it looks fantastic.
Next, cover your beetrooty salmon with cling film.
Take your tray, lightly press, and they get something substantial, something heavy, a pot or a pan or some tins. The weight on top just speeds up the process.
Place your salmon in the fridge to cure for at least 8 hours, or even better, overnight. To follow my deliciously light and simple salmon, a devilishly indulgent dessert.
Nothing beats a great cake, a sort of a show-off trophy for party food. So I'm going to make the most amazing flourless chocolate cake, but with a twist. First thing first, make the caramel. Flatten the sugar, never stir a caramel. Rule number 1. Now keep the pan nice and flat. I'm going to flavour this caramel with a little bit of mint. Give it a little chop. Sprinkle that into the caramel. Don't get the caramel too dark, just nice and light. A little teaspoon of oil onto the tray and rub that in. And then pour out your caramel. If I was making a caramel sauce, then I'd put butter and cream into the caramel, but I want this nice minted brittle running through my cake.
Whilst the caramel cools down on the tray, I'm going to make my cake. First, melt good quality dark chocolate in a bain-marie.
Heating it directly in the pan would destroy the cocoa fats. Always in a bowl, over boiling water.
In a mixing bowl, sugar, 2 whole eggs and 3 egg yolks. Whisk until beautifully light and creamy and the colour changes to a light yellow.
The more you mix the eggs and the sugar, the lighter that texture in the centre of the chocolate cake.
Next, melt some butter into your warm dark chocolate and stir.
Puts that really nice sheen, velvety, rich and tasting amazing. Add that to your sugar and your eggs. Now give that a really good mix. And when you're making flourless desserts, it really is important to work hard at incorporating out, especially with the yolks and the sugar. That natural height needs to take place at the beginning. Look at that. Looks like the perfect chocolate ganache.
Then separate 4 egg whites into a bowl.
Now, make sure you've got 2/3 of the way there with your whites, and then just sprinkle in your sugar. Almost like a meringue. And the firmer you make these now, the more it will elevate your cake in the oven. That's what you call a stiff peak. In with the whites. Before I start mixing that, I'm gonna get my caramel. Just start breaking that up. It's like little glass, sheets of glass, beautiful.
Save some of your minty caramel shards for decoration and use a rolling pin to break up the rest into small pieces.
Sprinkle that in. So as we start to slice that chocolate cake, you'll come across that nice crunch. Take your cake tin. Make sure it's lined with the greaseproof paper on the bottom, nicely greased. Pour this in.
A few sharp taps on a hard surface will rid your cake mixture of any air pockets that could create holes in your cake.
Sit that in the oven, 180.
After 35 minutes, my chocolate mint cake is cooked, and whilst it cools down, I can whip up a peppermint cream topping. Add sifted icing sugar and a few drops of peppermint extract to double cream, and whisk until it's just holding its shape. Spoon your minty cream on top of the cake, leaving a small border free to make it easier to cut. For a cake that can't fail to attract attention at your party, scatter over the remaining caramel mint shards. Now, to unveil my incredible beetroot cured salmon.
Off with the weight. A tray. And look what's happened to the salmon. Absolutely beautiful. You can just tell how delicious that's going to be with this sort of sheen. Give that a little rinse in cold water. With your kitchen roll, pat it nice and dry. Beautiful.
Traditionally, cured salmon would be sliced into large, thin pieces like smoked salmon, but I like to cut mine into thin strips. It's easier and it will show off its beauty.
Slice down, get to the skin, and then flick your knife out. That, for me, is a much better way of eating cured salmon. Look at the difference of colours. That nice, dark, rich, ruby red. Now, when you've got cured salmon this good, trust me, you just need a salad, Melba toast, or some stunning bread. Look how many slices of salmon we've got. And that's the secret, for me, to any good party. A couple of masterpieces. Simple, straightforward ingredients, but done properly. Nice.
My sumptuous beetroot cured salmon. And for dessert, a divine chocolate mint cake, party food with the wow factor. Next up, no fuss, tuck-in food with help from my eldest party animal, Megan.
Come on, Meggie.
No.
Come on, come on, come on. Oh.
Headlining is meltingly good, no stress, smoky pulled pork.
Ladies, let's go. The pork is ready.
And with 2 deliciously simple sides to pre-prepare, we prove you can cook for a crowd and still have time to party.
Oh, great. When you work in a restaurant, your job is to make sure people have a great time. You're there to make sure they're enjoying themselves. Believe me, after 20-odd years in the business, I've got experience in this department. And the golden rule for success is, don't get intimidated, get organised. Here are 3 of my ultimate dishes for a great evening party.
If there's one thing all the Ramsay children love, it's a good family party. And my eldest Megan is going to help me with the party piece. Mouth-watering, smoky pulled pork with a spicy chipotle mayonnaise.
That is the most amazing pork butt. Butts away, butts away. Now, this is incredible. There's the shoulder.
Yeah.
And look, there's the shoulder blade. If you go through here, there's a knuckle there. That's connecting the top, and that's why it's called a butt. The slower you cook it, the more juicy it is. And it's great for big parties because you just come along and get your fork and shred it. A delicious, smoky mayonnaise, and you're away. Onions into half and half again. OK, I'm going to leave the roots on, OK, because I want this to sit underneath the pork. It gives it a chance to cook evenly and doesn't get dry in the bottom. Really important.
OK.
Now, I'll peel the garlic. OK, I'd like you to crush the garlic. We're going to make a really nice little paste. OK?
Yeah.
Go on, Maggie.
No.
Come on, come on, come on. Nice. Good girl. One more. Crush. Come on, Maggie.
I'm coming.
Oh.
Sorry about that.
I'll just give that little cut there. Now, this is a beauty.
Paprika.
Smoked paprika.
Oh, I love it.
So 3 nice tablespoons in. OK. 2 large tablespoons of brown sugar. Salt, please. And pepper. Good girl. So we're going to form a nice paste now. Olive oil in. Mix that. And some thyme in there. So we've got a sort of fragrant rub. Thyme stalks underneath. So that's even more flavour going on the bottom. Pour that all over it. Now, this is where you've got to be really quick. OK. And sort of rub that.
Massage it in almost.
It's exactly that.
It smells amazing.
Honestly. You just drizzle a little touch of olive oil on top of that for me. I want to keep the pork nice and moist. Lovely.
Like some of the best party dishes, the marinating of the pork shoulder can be done days in advance.
So if I was doing this for a Sunday, I'd start marinating Thursday, Friday, so it gets even tastier. Right.
It's quite easy as well to make.
It's very easy. 5.5 to 6 hours in the oven at 140.
While our pork butt slowly roasts, Meg and I are going to pimp some shop-bought mayonnaise.
I don't like just plain mayonnaise. There's so many things you
Just
can...
have a twist to it.
Yeah, there's so many things, so many exciting things you can do with it. Right. Salt, pepper, in. A little touch of honey.
Sweetness almost.
Yeah,
with the honey.
sweetness, but there's some heat coming. OK, and I've got a little bit of, you love this,
Chipotle.
smoked chipotle paste.
I love that.
Once you've made this dressing, you know, it can sit in the fridge. Great for open sandwiches, yeah?
Can you use it for any sandwiches, really?
Any sandwiches, but goes brilliantly well with pork. Now, just have a little taste.
I've never had this before. It's so good.
A nice spoon of mustard. So, that's our nice spicy mayonnaise.
After 5.5 hours in the oven, our pork is nearly ready. Just time to knock up a couple of tried and tested party favourites. First, deliciously simple, cheesy crushed potatoes. Cut potatoes into even chunks and submerge in salted boiling water, skins and all. Meanwhile, finely diced sweet pickled gherkins or cornichons. Trim and finely chop spring onions. And grate some nutty Gruyere cheese. When the potatoes are cooked through, drain, roughly crush and add your spring onions and gherkins. Season to taste and gently combine before a final sprinkling of grated Gruyere. These simple, cheesy crushed potatoes are equally delicious, served hot or cold.
Now, I want something sort of raw, like a slaw. something quite refreshing.
Yeah.
So I'm going to make a really nice, fresh broccoli salad. Now, these are called florets. That's the best part of the broccoli, OK? The bit that everybody wants. Once they're off, I'm going to slice the broccoli, OK?
Never had raw broccoli before. It's always been cooked.
Really, when you dress this with the dressing, it's incredible. Now, a little season early on.
Yeah.
OK? Now for the dressing. Fresh yogurt in. Teaspoon of sugar, please, darling. Little smell.
Cider vinegar.
In you go. Finely chopped shallot. In with the broccoli. So, delicious. Roasted almonds into the broccoli.
Currants. I love them.
That gives that nice sort of chewy texture. Right, lift up your bowl, please. Nice and gently. Half of that. In the middle, please. Thank you. And stop. And then mix that up with me. Good girl. A little taste.
So good.
And it's the kind of salad that doesn't wilt. A couple of hours later, it's still crunchy because the broccoli's raw. Raw broccoli salad, chipotle. Now let me get the pork out. Look at this. Megan, honestly, that
It's amazing.
is beautiful. That is incredible. Now, that goes to the table like that. A delicious...
Can we have a tiny bit just before we go to the table?
Megan.
Just a little bit.
Honestly, Meg.
Don't tell Mum. Thank you.
Honestly. If you're going to do it, I'm going to do it. That is incredible.
So good.
You promise me you don't give the recipe to your boyfriend. Let's go. Come on.
This is my ultimate easy party dinner. Melt in your mouth, slow-cooked, smoky pulled pork with a spicy chipotle mayonnaise. And quick, simple sides of crushed cheesy potatoes and a light and healthy broccoli slaw. Deliciously yummy dishes that will have your family, friends and work buddies coming back for more.
Right, how's the pork?
This is very good, thank you, Daddy.
Yeah?
It's very tasty. I love the chipotle. Is it chipotle?
Chipotle, yeah?
Wow, the sauce is a bit spicy, Dad. Nearly blew my head off.
To collect selected recipes from the show, go to my scrapbook at channel4.com/Gordon. Next time, my ultimate American food.
You can see why the best breakfasts in the world are always in America.
I celebrate my superhero dishes from the US of A.
You put yours in there, I'll put mine here.
Dad!
Michael Sheen, Amanda Holden and Carl Pilkington, Three's a Crowd and Alan Carr's Chatty Man, 10 o'clock tonight. To Jamie next.